and welcome back to So You Want to Be a Millionaire. I am your co-host, Sharla Brown, joined by the amazing and talented Jacquie Somerville, who's also the co-founder of 100 Most Powerful Women, where we work together to mentor 100 women to look like a million, feel like a million, impact millions, and of course, making millions of dollars. On today's show, we're talking about how to overcome financial struggle because, well, we've all been there, haven't we, Jacquie?
We certainly have, Sharla. And, I think we don't want to hear this kind of advice and this kind of information from people who don't understand what it's like to struggle. Because there are some people who don't know what it's like to financially struggle. And we don't want to listen to them because they don't know what they're talking about. So we know what it's like to struggle financially. And so we are here to help you because we truly do know and truly do understand. And whether, and here's the other interesting thing about financial struggle is that it's all relative. We get so many of our clients who get so deep in financial fear sometimes, when in actual fact, their financial situation is pretty good. Perspective is everything, right? How you look at something, how you see something, it's your truth. And so when we help you to see the wood for the trees, which is also why it's so important to have a coach, because we help them to get perspective. Things aren't nearly as bad as you think. And even if they are, there were times when I couldn't pay the rent or buy groceries or whatever. But when you really think about it, what did I have? I had a good education. I had a really smart mind that if I really kicked in with belief, I could achieve stuff. I had incredible supportive friends and mentors, one of whom is sitting right there next to me today on this show. I have a family who loves me. It was never going to be that I ended up under a bridge, living under a tarp. It was never going to be. So why did I ever allow myself to get into some deep fear? So perspective, no matter what your situation currently might be, whether you've got millions like I had and I was worried about losing it, or whether you have absolutely nothing and your credit card is being declined for your groceries. Either way, we're going to help you put some perspective on that today so that you start to feel hope, so that you start to see the bright light at the end of the tunnel, because I promise you it's there. And if you focus on the light, as sure as nuts, it's going to appear. So that's what we're going to help you with today. Whatever your situation is, if you ever fear anything around money, we're going to help you with that and stop that and put an end to that today. Because when you quit the fear, you quit the worry, you quit the doubt, and you go into a place of receiving, that's what gives the money a chance to flow. When you're in fear, when you're in doubt, when you're in worry, you built a wall between you and the money. And we're going to get into that today.
Absolutely. And I don't think there's a greater fear that's out there than fears that people have around money. Not having enough, that it's going to run out, that, something around money in terms of, they're not going to be able to pay the bills or they're going to lose their job or any of these things. A lot of things that haven't happened and maybe never will happen, but we fear about them every single day. It's the number one leading cause for divorce is around finances. It is such a big controlling factor out of our over our lives if we let it be. But really, it all comes down to our mindset, our faith around money and finances and things, because lots of times it's us trying to control, manipulate situations, trying to make it happen for ourselves, which often gets into trouble. And so there's so many things that we can talk about today. And even those that are the wealthiest in the world, you or I may think that they don't have any struggles around money, often can have the biggest struggles around money because they're always trying to, also maybe have that fear of losing it all, or what if something happens, or all that kind of stuff. And I think you'll also have some stories to share around that in terms of having, millions in the bank, but still having, some insecurities around that money and those finances as well. So money's a interesting thing, but it's something that, you and I have learned to embrace, to be able to really let go of the fears around money and finances. But it is something that comes up often with the women that we coach, whether that's how they're going to make their business successful and make money, that they don't have the money to invest in themselves, whether they don't want to take risk with money to be able to build their empires. There's so many things that we can definitely talk about today. So where would you like to kick things off, Jackie?
You brought up the important thing of the fact that there's such a huge fear, that it seems to be the number one thing. So it makes me think about when we're sort of unpeel the onion of this, as it were, and go through the layers of why is that so? We have been so indoctrinated. And when you really look back at the reason why these fears around money have been built into us, it's all around other people have made money through our fears. Think about the insurance industry. Think about there's so many, the banking industry. There are so many industries and big age-old industries that have made their money based on creating fear within your average human. And so when I really think about it, if you sort of go back through time to the year dot where the Big Bang happened or creation happened, whatever way you think of it, it's so interesting. Back then, there was just the enoughness of the universe. Everything was in perfect divine order. Once the monetary system came in, and I forget, at one point I did know when it happened, but once the monetary system was created, all sorts of interesting ways to make money were created. And a lot of that depended on building fear into the minds of others. It's even the pharmaceutical industry today is a classic and timely example of how our fear has driven massive profits for that industry. So really think back to the ridiculousness of our fear around money, and how it has been built into us over time through how society is set up. And just remember that in actual fact, it doesn't really mean a whole lot at the end of the day. It really doesn't. And you putting so much emphasis on it and fear on it is what creates it to be the gorilla in the room. Instead of letting go and trusting, not in where the money is right now or where it could be, but in the source of life, the source of it all, the source. What you and I believe in as God, this divine presence that's never in absence, that's the source of our health and well-being and our financial well-being, not our individual bank accounts, our individual businesses, what we can see right now within our current senses. No, the source is so much bigger than that. And this beautiful creative energy that's been creating beautiful things and everything since the beginning of time is still very much there and is still there for you to tap into. And at the end of the day, that is the only source that matters. So you can relax and put your faith in the source. And only when you relax and you trust will the actual materialism of money start to make its way back to you, or to you in the first place, or start to flow to you in great avalanches of abundance, more than you could have ever imagined. There is a source of it all, and it is not the bank manager, and it is not the individual client or contract, and it is not one particular source that you think, like money, like a business wing that you have that you're hoping on, or a job that you have that you're hoping for a promotion. The divine creator is the source, and it is always there and always waiting to give what you open up to receiving. And the first way that you open up to receiving is you quit worrying. And we'll get into that. How does one quit worrying? But anyway, I go on a tangent on these things because I really think about how all of this nonsense has been built into us. It's just a man-made crappy belief, right? The fear.
It is. It is.
Because we're afraid.
It is. And we just follow along, and that's the thing, is we buy into it, it becomes our beliefs, and then we don't even realize that we're doing it. Because what I know for sure is that if you're sitting here watching this, you are in the top 10% of the wealthiest people in the world. Top 10%.
Ooh.
Are you thankful and grateful for that every single day? You know, the fact that if you have a roof over your head, if there's food in your fridge, you know, most of the world doesn't have those luxuries. And we lots of times take that for granted. We have so much fear because of everything that society has taught us as time goes on, that, you know, most of the world doesn't have a retirement fund, you know, and the fact that you sit there and worry because you don't have one and you spend all that time and energy. And also, you know, what becomes acceptable in society in terms of if you spend $100,000 on your education and you have that debt sitting there, oh, that's acceptable. If you buy a house, you know, well, and you have, you know, a $400,000 mortgage, well, that's acceptable, you know, and there's things that people coin as acceptable and things that are not. If you want to start a business and make an infinite amount of wealth, you're out of your mind. You're crazy. You shouldn't do that. That's irresponsible. You know, like there's all these beliefs that people have and they impose those on everyone and start believing them for themselves. And, you know, that's something that I had to take a look at as to, you know, well, that's not true for me. And, you know, like that's the thing is that we all have desires in our heart that's important for us. And it's up to us as to what's important for us to invest in, to do with our lives, to spend our money on. And it's really nobody else's business. But all these things have became, you know, so ingrained in us in terms of, you know, what you need to put away, save for a rainy day, you know, all these things. And, you know, they're just not true. You got to really come up with what is true for you, what is most important for you, because debt isn't necessarily a bad thing. And we talk about that all the time, is that, you know, we both, to start businesses, you know, it's hard for a woman to go to a bank and say, hey, I have this amazing idea. They think you're crazy. They look at you like you have three eyes and say, hey, this is what I want to do. And I know I can make it massively successful. And, you know, they're asking for blood, your first child and everything else to even see, you know, a portion of that, as opposed to, you know, hey, it's okay that if you have to use your credit card because you so wholeheartedly believe in what you're doing and that you can make it a massive success, you can do that. I started my first business with a $500 loan, and I've turned that into millions and millions of dollars. So every woman can do that. Don't ever let somebody tell you that there's only one way of doing things, or this is right or this is wrong. You really have to follow that intuition as to what is right for you, what you want to invest in. And I always say, and I know you do too, is that the best thing or person that you can invest your money in is you. And I'll let you talk on that, Jackie, because you've spent a lot of money on yourself and it's paid off big time.
Yes, and people, you're so right. People thought I was freaking crazy. Why was I giving up my so-called safety? Why was I giving up my retirement savings and my capital to follow my dream? They thought that I should invest it what they thought was wise. And I said, but why am I not a wise investment? How do you guys think that other companies are safer than me investing in me? I don't get it. You don't believe in me, but guess what? I do. So it was so interesting to see how other people were putting their fears on me. They don't believe in themselves, so they would never give up their 401k or their RSP to invest in their own business. But to see someone else do it put the fear of God in them, and so they projected that fear on me. Right. And it was so, so interesting how everybody wanted me to stay safe. And I was prepared to go to the edge and jump without the parachute just because I knew, even when I went through times of doubt, there was this underlying belief that kept me going, this underlying belief that drove me to put it all on the line. And it's very hard, as you say, it's very hard to go against society's teachings on this because it is deeply ingrained. Get a job. It's called responsible. And, you know, go and get a job. In fact, when you're talking in a moment, I'm going to look up something, a quote that I saw very recently that's so pertinent to what we're talking about today that I really want to share with everybody from a billionaire. And it is, really, really think long and hard about what you've bought into and whether it truly is the truth for you. And I knew that I had within me the ability to make many millions of dollars using my gifts and talents, and that they were telling me to invest wisely in other people's dreams. No, go and invest in these companies. Put your money in the stock market. Oh, really? The stock market is something I should bet on, but myself? Me? The person I know most in this earth, that I trust most in this earth, I shouldn't bet on me? It's very bizarre. But society sets us up to not bet on ourselves, to doubt ourselves, and to go and put our money in everybody else's dreams who did have the courage to bet on themselves. I find it the most fascinating narrative that we have to fight against, especially women like us who are entrepreneurs and helping women be entrepreneurs. It is such an amazing thing that we need to really question and start putting in perspective. And I would say personally, I think Beyonce said this, and I loved the statement. She said, "I'm not a gambler, but if there's anybody I'm going to gamble on, it's myself." And I got a lot of power during some dark times by reading that quote, because I thought that's what I've done, and damn it, I'm going to stick with it. And sure enough, you know, when you go through hell, keep going, because if you stick to it and you believe it, you're going to come out the other side.
Yes, absolutely. And we're going to talk about those dark moments today and when you're going through hell, because, you know, we've all been through them. But at the end of the day, you know, I don't think any of us wants our headstone to say, she played it safe. Good for her. She played it safe. You know, and that's the thing, is like lots of times that's what society teaches us. And, you know, it comes from an honest place, you know, whether that's your parents or your family, is they don't want you to struggle. I think they're probably also concerned that it doesn't come back on them, that they're bailing you out or whatever the case is. But, you know, there's a point where you just need to make a decision for yourself. You realize that everything you want is on the other side of fear. And you just need to say, you know, I'm not scared anymore. I'm willing to bet on myself. I'm willing to invest in myself, and I want to have a life of adventure and passion and purpose rather than regret or dread of doing something that you don't love to do every day. And, you know, that happens for so many people who are out there, is that they're in jobs they absolutely despise. They're showing up every day and existing. They're marking the days off on their calendars to retirement. And they've sold out for, you know, the steady paycheck, the safety, the security, even though nothing is secure in life. You know, you can fail at what you don't want. So you may as well take a chance on doing what sets your soul on fire, is what I always say. And that, you know, at the end of the day, you can replace all of those things tenfold or 100-fold, you know, in following your passion and your purpose, whether that's a business or going back to school and, you know, doing something else that you want to do. Is that, you know, life is short, and really we're here to experience extraordinary lives. And our happiness is so tied to that, is that when we feel purposeful every day, when we are in pursuit, you know, of our ultimate potential on this earth, what we're capable of doing, the impact that we can make, you know, that's what excites us every day. That is what makes a life worth living. So, you know, if you are out there and, you know, you have that job that you know, it stresses you out every day. You can't sleep at night. It's compromising your health and well-being. Maybe it's destroyed your marriage, or, you know, the time that you're able to have with your kids, or the life that you want to have. You know, it's a time to reflect on that, because you can make any amount of money that you want to make doing what you love. You know, women always come to us and say, you know, I have this crazy idea or this crazy business or whatever, but I'm not sure if it would make money. You can make money doing anything. You know, you don't have to look far to see the craziest things that's out there that people have made bazillions of dollars doing. And, you know, the thing is that they believed they could do it. It all came down to having that faith that it was possible. And that I know, and you know, Jackie, that everyone has these amazing gifts and talents that they can utilize, whether that's in a career, whether that's in a business, whatever it is. But that to never sell yourself short when it comes to, you know, following those big big goals and dreams, and not compromising by, you know, showing up every day to something that you don't enjoy doing every day. And there's a way of doing that, you know, so that, you know, you can be comfortable with transitioning. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing, because we get these crazy mindsets that it's like, well, you know, the fear and worry comes in. If I let this go, well, you don't have to necessarily let it go. Sometimes it's getting a toe in the water and checking out, you know, if the grass is greener on the other side. You know, it's having some fun with it, because what I know is that when you follow that bliss, you follow that joy, you follow those passions, the money follows too. So did you find that quote, Jackie?
No, I couldn't. It's so crazy that I couldn't find it. But it is basically about the fact, I mean, he built $1 billion company, Quest Nutrition, Tom Bilyeu, and he maxed out his credit cards in order to do that, just as you were saying before. And but what he did have was he had an undying belief and a commitment and a conviction, right? And a belief in himself that he was going to persist no matter what. Now, if you don't have that, I would never suggest that you max out anything, because you've got to have that belief and that commitment, and that desire needs to be so strong that hunger that going into all that debt or whatever creates, that when you hit rock bottom, that hunger that you know it's not going to kill you, because you know you're going to be resilient, because you want it so bad. So one of the things I want to emphasize here, and I know that those people who are listening to us on the show are people who want more money. They're listening to a show called You Want to Be a Millionaire. They desire more money. They're open to it. They probably have this notion, if they're not already, that they want to be an entrepreneur, or that they want to share their gifts with the world. So we are talking to you guys because there is something I know for sure. Every single human on this planet is very different. We have almost 8 billion very different souls who don't even have the same freaking fingerprint. And so this is not advice I would give to somebody who was definitely steeped in certainty and who really needed that kind of job and 401k and all of that in order to be okay in this world. Because there are people. It takes all types to make the world. We need a world full of people who have different desires, different aspirations, different things that drive them. If we didn't have that, who would be the teachers, the doctors, the salaried people who we need? Who would be the laborers? Who would be the people who we call when our sinks get blocked? We need every single different type of human to make up this beautiful world. So I'm never going to make somebody who's a salaried person wrong, or who is as a professional person wrong, or who is a laborer wrong, as long as you are living the life that is fulfilling to you. I often tell the story of how when I donated some money to an AIDS clinic in downtown Vancouver, in order for them to create this new room, they wanted to give me a tour of the facility to show me where my money was going. And I will never forget the woman who ran this place, the impact she had on my life. She didn't have anything material. And I have never in my life seen a more fulfilled human. Every day she was surrounded by people who were dying of AIDS or who had just been diagnosed, who were coming in to be fed and so on in this little clinic. And it was a sad place, but her spirit was so amazing that you couldn't actually even be sad in there because of her. And all I saw in this woman was 100% fulfillment. And I realized as I walked around with my 18-karat gold $30,000 watch on and carrying my $5,000 Louis Vuitton purse and everything, touring around, that this woman was even happier than I was. And her fulfillment was so intoxicating to me. And I remember then that moment learning what fulfillment was. And what happiness truly is. It's being true to us. She was walking her path. She was doing her dharma. This is what this woman was born to do. And oh man, she'd never even have conceived of a gold watch, and she would have given it away if I'd given it to her. She had no need for it. So we are all different. We're all driven by different things. And the truth is, you need to find that thing that lights your soul on fire. The world doesn't need more rich people. The world needs more people who come alive, more people who are on fire doing what they were born to do. So if money is stopping you from doing that, we want to challenge you on your notions of what you are prepared to put on the line. And if that means things like borrowing money or maxing out credit cards to live your dream, as long as your conviction and your dream is strong, then I'm the first one to say do it. If that's not who you are, then don't do it. You got to believe in yourself and you got to want it so bad, right? That's got to be, to me, the deciding factor. And are you, as Charlotte was just talking about, are you doing what you were put on this earth to do? Because the world needs more people who do that, not more rich people. And for most of us, if we've got the desire, for everybody who's got the desire for wealth, and you combine that by doing what you love, I believe wealth will naturally come to you. This woman didn't have the desire for wealth. Oh man, she was one of the wealthiest people on the planet. She didn't have the desire for financial, for material possessions. So it's all about perspective. And it all goes back to, are you living the life you want to live? And if not, what is stopping you? Because if it is this ridiculous fear of debt, or this ridiculous notion that only some debt is good and other debt is bad, and that's stopping you from living your life and investing in yourself and your business, you got to stop that nonsense. Because one day you'll get to the end of your days and you'll go, why the hell didn't I? And that is the single biggest driving factor in my life. I never, ever want to say those words to myself, ever.
Yeah, absolutely, Jackie, absolutely. And it's so true. There's so many people out there who have careers, who have salaried positions, and that's exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They love it. Some people have known that, since they were a child. I want to be a police officer. I want to be, a lawyer. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a nurse, whatever the case is. And they just know that. And, following that divine spirit and, doing that wholeheartedly, that is, it's important. It makes our world go round. That's what we need. And I dare say, not everybody's meant to be an entrepreneur, so whether that's, stepping into the fact that, sometimes we get these fears around money where we took something in school and we spent all this money being educated and we feel obligated. That's what we're supposed to do, even though in our soul, we know that's not what we're meant to do, and being okay with investing in ourselves, that if you want to be entrepreneur, whether you want to go back to school and do something else, that's okay. It's always in that pursuit of who you are called to be, and that can change and evolve over time, and that's what happens to a lot of people is they feel this calling to do something else. And we work with a lot of clients that whether they were teachers and had a successful, teaching career for 20 or 25 years, and this is what they want to do now, or nurses, we have nurses that we've worked with as well, and so many different successful people who are very successful in their profession, but now they do want to become entrepreneurs. And fear can be something that often gets in our way, especially as time goes on, because we get very comfortable in, how we did things. We're lots of times creatures of habit. And so, we know what we know what we're comfortable with. And, all of that greatness is outside of our comfort zone. So it's being comfortable with getting uncomfortable. And so, it's not always going to be sunshine and roses. And we're going to talk about some of those, dark moments and how do you get through those. But it's taking that first step and knowing that you don't have to have it all figured out. And that, there's people you can work with. That whether that's our coaches or mentors or things that you can educate yourself to be successful in whatever that it is that you want to do, and that it's never too late. We also take on all these crazy beliefs as to I'm too old for that, or my time has passed, or when something else happens, when the kids are out of the house, or once I put them through school, then I'll focus on me. And the thing is your life is happening now. Your happiness is now. And so it's important to, start exploring and at least taking those steps in the direction of your dreams, because you never want to wake up, an old lady one day saying, I wish I woulda, I wish I coulda. Oh, maybe I shoulda. There's nothing, I think, sadder than, waking up one day regretting what you could have been or what you should have did, knowing that, at least you tried, you gave it your all, and, living that adventurous life as to what that can look like for you.
Yeah, absolutely, Sharla. Yeah, and you talked about us. I think it's very important before we end the show today to talk about what to do, as you said, when we do get to what we think or feel is rock bottom financially, when we are stuck in that financial fear. And all I can say is that for me, there were a number of things. The first thing was books. Books are either free if you borrow them, or a couple of dollars if you download them. And for example, Neville Goddard's book, Your Faith is Your Fortune, was so huge for me, and some of his teachings. Another one that I found in my dark times so incredible is Florence Scovel Shinn, The Game of Life and How to Play It. These books gave me tremendous hope when I was at rock bottom financially. Of course, there's plenty of others, but those were the ones that were really big for me when it was so bad that I couldn't see my way out of it. And so there is that, and those books then helped me to relax and do the second thing, which was connect with God. To really, because what we do when we get in these fears is that we get it all in our head, and and the fear gets bigger and bigger, and we reach out to other people. We're looking for answers from other people. So often our friends just make us even more terrified while they try to help us, and we're sort of looking for all the answers externally. Whereas the answers are always internal. They're always within us all along, because our spirit that is connected to this huge, creative, endless, limitless source, if we get still and we tune into it and we believe that we're going to find some answers within us, within that place of us that's connected to the divine, that is where we get calm. So for me, it was reading the books that reminded me about God, that reminded me that all was well as long as I tuned in and believed in the divine. And so getting still and tuning in, be still and know that I am God. Those words were very, very comforting and reminded me every time I got in my head and got terrified. Be still and know that I am God. And I would be still and I would connect to God from a place of gratitude, saying, thank you, God, for the air that I breathe, for the friends that I have, for the family that I have, and just thank you for you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for this moment. And just really, really connecting with the divine and finding peace in that. Because when we do that, the worry goes. And when the worry goes, that wall starts coming down between you and the money. And so those were the two things that really did turn things around for me, not to discount the fact that there are certain friends and people in your life who there are times when you have to turn to them. And there were three people who were there for me when I couldn't pay the rent, and said, "Here you go. We're going to help you." But then Sharla said to me, "But where the heck is that belief in you? It's all very well to get help right now, but where the heck is that belief in you? That's what's missing here." And she was so right. And I remember it being such an impact on me. I thought, damn it, I've become weak and pathetic and fearful. Where have I gone? That's not serving me. And so I listened to, I heard her then, and I've heard her words ever since. Where is that belief in you? You know you can make the money. You know you can do this. Where has that gone? Because one of the other things that I want you guys who may be stuck in the struggle to remember, 10 minutes from now, you could be like our client who went and checked her lottery ticket and won the lottery. Tomorrow, you could come up with a multi-million-dollar idea. 6 weeks from now or 6 days from now, you could meet a man or a woman who's worth millions of dollars, who falls in love with you and says, move in with me, what's mine is yours. 2 weeks from now, you could sit on the airplane next to somebody who says, my God, I love your idea. Can I invest in you? There is so limitless the possibilities that can happen within 5 minutes from this moment. And when you remember that, again, what happens? The worry goes away and the wall between you and your money starts to break down and dissipate. So you've got to remember your financial fortune can turn around within 2 minutes of this show ending. You've got to remember that tomorrow you could have a financial windfall that you didn't see coming. When you get into that state, that helps break down the wall and the money will find a way to flow. The idea will download to you in your business as what to do next. But it only comes from a place of complete stillness and a place of all is wellness. A place of right here, right now, everything is enough. Everything is well, all is well in this moment. Because as Florence Scovel Shinn says, and I think she was sort of quoting the Bible on this, something along the lines of, it comes over a calm sea. Everything you desire comes over a calm sea, but you have to be the one that calms the seas. If your sea is choppy and insane, no brilliant idea that's going to catapult your business is going to find you. No amazing opportunity is going to find you if you are stuck in a rabbit hole of desperate fear. You need to calm your seas. So read what you need to read. Pray not in supplication and pleading, but in the knowledge that all is well. Pray in faith, because faith tells us that everything is already done, already here and now, not once it shows up in the bank account. That's not faith. That's believing and seeing. Faith is believing in the unseen. So you got to believe the money's there before you see it. Right? Faith, faith, faith. Anyway, I could go on and on and on.
So good, Jackie, and so true. And, you know, I think I'm just going to be saying the same things that you just said, perhaps in a little bit different way. But I think, you know, both of us know what that feels like. And we know that there's women who's out there who's watching this right now, who isn't sleeping at night. And for me, I know what that feels like in terms of not feeling like you can breathe. And that's the only way I was ever able to describe it. And I said that to you, you know, was that, you know, I've went through moments where I just felt like I couldn't breathe. And, you know, that is the most important thing, first and foremost, is to just be still and breathe and really focus on being in this moment. And how are you right now? And sometimes I had to do that every 2 to 3 minutes to get through a day. And that's how powerful, you know, it can be. And I know how consuming it can be. But knowing that if you do have faith, worry, doubt, and fear does not exist in spirit. Those are things we create for ourselves. So I had to be very present and very mindful as to, number one, what was I telling myself? And was it true? Did I know it beyond a shadow of a doubt as complete fact to be true for my life? And lots of times our mind starts playing tricks on us. It's going 100 miles an hour and it's telling you so many things that are not true. We sit there and we beat ourselves up. You cannot change the past. It's already happened. Tomorrow's not promised to anyone. You can't live there. You can only live in where you are right now. And in this moment, are you breathing? Are you okay? You know, it's all the basic things that are relevant and important to right now. How are you right now? Because I dare say everything is exactly perfect and how it's supposed to be. Because what I know for sure is that in our darkest moments, God's preparing us for what's next. God's preparing us for our greatest days. And we sure as hell don't see it. And we sure as hell don't feel it in that moment. We're going through hell. That's what we're seeing. But God's saying, oh no. Yeah, I know you think that. But oh, honey, I got plans for you. I'm bringing you to your greatest. I'm bringing out your greatness. You see, if I didn't do this, if I didn't bring you through this, you wouldn't realize these gifts. You wouldn't get to that next level. You see, I got to make it uncomfortable so that you can grow. That's when God's doing his greatest work. And you just got to trust it. And just have those open conversations with God. Because, every day I was asking, like, God, this doesn't make sense for me. If I'm not on the right path, you better show me the right one that it's supposed to be. And all of a sudden, that moment happens where the seas part and where everything becomes crystal clear as to everything you are going through and how it all now makes sense to bring you to where you need to go. And I know you've had those moments, Jackie, that's brought you to your knees. I know I've certainly had those moments. And I'm so thankful and grateful for them. That's the thing, is that when you can look at those and say, oh, God, I get it. I'm so thankful and grateful that you brought me through that. And that I had the courage to just hang on, And like I said, whether that's minute by minute or hour by hour, whatever you need to do, knowing your greatest moment's coming and trusting that God has a bigger plan for your life, greater than you could ever imagine. And that right now, it's only temporary. It's only temporary. That it ain't over. The greatest days are to come. And so just to fully embrace that, let God do the work through you that needs to be done to get you to the best moments of your life. That's what I have to say about that.
And it's so beautiful. And, it made us both cry there, what you just said. I think because, as you said, that I just had this overwhelming feeling of gratitude about how good God is and how blessed, you're right, how blessed we are for having gone through those things. And in looking back, I see the divine perfection of it all. And I'm so deeply grateful, not only for the wealth and the health and everything I have in my life now, but for those dark times. And, they say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, but I believe what doesn't kill you makes you so much better. And it makes your life so much better, as long as you believe it. And so, as you said, when you're going through those hellish times, as they appear to be hell for us, keep going. That statement meant a lot to me during those times. When you're going through hell, keep going, because I do believe in the power of persistence, and it is so important. Keep going. Don't ever give up. And just because something doesn't get a response in your business right now, don't let that mean that you throw in the towel and you go, this is not working for me. I'm not meant for this. No, we all get those slaps upside the head on a regular basis. That doesn't mean that you're not supposed to be doing. Maybe you can tweak it a bit, but maybe you just need to keep persisting. We get discouraged so quickly in our lives, don't we? We think that things are going to happen like this. Sometimes they do, but not always. Trust always that the divine has a plan for your life, including through the hell. It really is a beautiful, amazing thing. You'd also talked about the whole temporary nature of a struggle, right? There's seasons. Life is all about in nature and all around us, and including in our own lives, there's seasons. This is important for growth. Without winter, there can be no buds in the spring. And so when you are going through a bad season, remember that it is temporary. And I've shared this with many people before, but there is a mantra that was very important for me. And that was that my situation is temporary. My financial situation is temporary. It's not who I am. It's just where I am right now. Money is all around me, and I'm going to find some and make this happen. It was very comforting to me, and I had it pasted all over the place, my bathroom mirror, all around my desk, my bedroom, everything, because it comforted me. And I realized my financial situation was just temporary. It wasn't a reflection of who I was. It was just where I was temporarily. That calmed the waters. When the waters were calm, I could hear God saying, now do this, Jacquie. Do this. Go and reach out here. Go and make a speech about this. Go and approach this client. Make this offer. And when the waters are not calm, we cannot hear those divine the divine downloads. So the other thing that you talked about so beautifully was the power of now. And I just want to pick that up for a second, because Eckhart Tolle did write a book called The Power of Now, which is very, very powerful. I found it very helpful to me when I was going through some financial fears. Major fears, by the way, when I had millions and millions of dollars. And you talked about that earlier, about this craziness that it is, your fears are not tied to how much money you have. You think that your fear right now is tied to the fact that you have zero, or you have debt, or you have credit card debt, or that you have 50,000 when you think you ought to have 5 million, or you have 5 million when you think you ought to have 20 million. The money, the number itself is friggin' irrelevant. I know, because I had the same fears when I had zero as when I had 5 million knocking around in the bank, because the fear was in my head, irrational, ridiculous. It had nothing to do with the number. It came from this notion of not enoughness. It came from the lack of belief in myself, my own power, and the belief in the divine. Quite simple. That's where it was. When I started believing in myself and in God, and I started having undying faith no matter what. It doesn't matter if I have 50 million or $50 or minus 5 million. I can still find that peace, that enoughness in every moment. And that is so important. Believe me, there's no amount of money that's going to give you peace if you don't find peace where you are right now. You got to find peace where you are right now. And The Power of Now is a book that helped a friend of mine who's not spiritual, who doesn't have a religion or a spiritual belief of any kind. Reading that book was the thing that got him through some serious dark times. And wouldn't you know, he started to then also believe in a little more spiritual stuff after that, because he started to see things turn around based on his belief of the power of now. Interesting to see that happen. But anyway, that just the belief of right now in this moment, all is well. Right now in this moment, as you said, you had to tune into it every few minutes during that time that you were going through it. It's so important. Tune back into it. That's the work, is to discipline yourself to not let the fear take over, but to catch yourself and say, back to the power of now, back to I am enough, I have enough, I am enough, all is well in this moment. Because if you don't find it when you have $0, I am living proof that you will not find it when you have 50 million. You got to believe me on that. Find the peace now, or the money is not going to solve a damn thing if it comes at all. You got to find the peace now.
Yes. Yes, you got to have make the peace now and make space for the miracles to happen. Because the thing is that if we live in the worry of, what might happen down the road, is we don't make space for God. We don't make space for those divine downloads. We don't make space to be able to see what we're supposed to see, do what we're supposed to do, to buy the lottery ticket, or, to make the call, or whatever the case is. It's all about, making sure that we're in the now and divinely connected, and not in our ego, in a place of fear and worry and doubt, where you're completely disconnected, because those things don't exist in spirit. So, if you're experiencing any of those things, you have to go back to the now and strengthening that divine, and saying that, I'm so thankful and grateful that in this moment, all is well. I am good. All my needs are met. And don't worry about the rent in 3 days or any of that kind of stuff, because miracles happen in any moment, and you got to make space for them to happen. You got to be present in the now, so that you can see the work that God is doing, and not getting wrapped up in our craziness. So important for sure. The other thing I just want to mention is that how important it is to have a coach and to have a mentor, to be able to talk about these things with. We have walked through some of the darkest moments with our clients, whether that was, thousands of dollars in debt and making a decision, maybe, of bankruptcy or what you can do and what the options are, because sometimes it's so beautiful to watch that what people are running away from and so scared of, and when they face it and really tap into the divine, that it's really not bad at all. The thing is we did have a client that we said, hey, start answering those calls of those creditors. And they were willing to take cents on the dollars, that what wound up was say $100,000 in debt wound up being $20,000 in debt. It's a matter of perspective. And when you're willing to say, hey, God, I need some help with this, I'm going to face it, I'm going to do the best I can with what I have, is that all these miracles start to happen. And who knows, money could just come flooding in from anywhere. This is an infinite universe. We have an infinite God, that any of that kind of stuff is so easy. It's so easy for a universe filled with an abundance of love and joy and all these things. Lots of times we're creating our own struggles in many ways, where the answers are really right there if we're willing to tap into those. And so I just wanted to mention that that's what we love working with our clients. Whatever they're going through, their darkest moments, is lots of times we feel like we're so alone in this. And we're stuck in our own minds, and we don't have any other perspective. And when you have somebody that you can trust, that's isn't coming to you with any kind of judgment, and can help you kind of see things in a different perspective, is that you realize that, hey, this is all working towards my greatest good, that everything's working out exactly as it should. And when your energy around that shifts, everything shifts. Like that. Like it changes so quickly. And the lottery ticket was one example of that, but we have so many great examples of that. Is that when we change our perspective, when we change our energy around it, when we learn how to tap into the divine, when we let go of the fear and worry, that everything changes, and all of a sudden we're just living our best life. Everything's just in flow, and we're realizing that everything was happening for us. Everything all along was happening for us, and that every day and every moment truly is a miracle. So don't miss out on those moments. Don't waste another day, another minute. Don't waste any more time worrying about anything, because what's truly happening is God's preparing you. God's putting together the pieces of the puzzle for your greatest life. You just need to embrace that and trust that everything's happening for your highest good. Anyway, we talked a long time today, Jackie.
I know, Sharla, because it's such a big subject for so many people, and we have been helping quite a few people with this in the last few weeks. So I think we're feeling especially passionate about it, and we are seeing some of them really beginning to see the light and starting to sort of already, right? And it's beautiful to see. So I think we are passionate about helping people through this. We see it as a big stumbling block. And as we've said, we both have lived through it. So I think it's such an important one. And I hope everybody's listened through the end, because I think we've said some super important things. Yes, there was one other thing that I was just flashed through my mind, that what was it that I wanted to, this is the one thing I want to say before we go. Remember the incredible power of stillness and meditation in order to connect to the divine, right? This is not just about running around pretending everything is fine, right? So you can cover up with surface things. You can have another drink. You can go out with your friends for dinner. You can, go for a run. You can go and play. You can do all of those things. And playing is important and joy is important. But it doesn't work on its own if you're going through this stuff. You've got to connect with the divine through stillness. You've got to connect with the source, with this universal force, whatever you want to call it. You've got to connect in stillness every single day, even if it's just for a few minutes. This is really, really key. So don't be just running around doing surface stuff when you're trying to not worry. Connect, go within. As Neil Donald Walsh said, if you don't go within, you go without. Go within, go within, go within. Have the guts to get still. Have the guts to face the music. Have the guts to connect with the divine. because that is where everything lies. Get still, be quiet, and tune into your inner being.
Yeah, absolutely, Jackie. So yeah, we definitely covered a lot today, and there's probably things that have stirred up in you. And, if you're needing somebody to talk to, as I mentioned at the beginning, Jackie and I mentor women to have their best lives. And so we've created 100 Most Powerful Women, where we work with 100 women, we mentor women to be able to, live the life of their dreams, create that $1 million life, that $1 million business. And, it doesn't matter where you're at in the journey. So what I'll do is I'll put in the comments the link to apply if you're interested, if you're feeling alone, if you're having, struggles that you want to overcome, or you're just ready to live your best life. You're done with playing small. That's what we do. And it doesn't matter where you are in that journey. We have a lot of women who reach out who say, I didn't apply because I don't already have a successful business. Well, that's okay. It doesn't matter where you're at on the journey, whether you're still figuring it out, whether you're going through a dark time and you're just like, hey, I know there's got to be more for my life. And so it doesn't matter where you're at, that if you feel called to want to fill out an application, we encourage you to do that. We'd love to have a conversation to get to know you better and, to see if it would be a great fit for you. We've had so much success. We're working with incredible women from right around the world in a multitude of different passions, different gifts, different talents, different businesses, and different places in your journey. And so we just love for you to apply, and we'd love to get to know you more. So any final words on that, Jackie, before we wrap up for the day?
I think you said it all, Sharla. It's been a great one.
Yes. Well, we hope you've enjoyed today's show. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to throw those in the comment section below. We look forward to seeing you next week on more with So You Want to Be a Millionaire.